A borderline clicker with some basic decision making, but nicely presented and strangely enthralling. Punch Club arrived early this year and managed to charm just about everyone as it worked its way up Twitch lists, Steam sale charts and YouTube playlists using a combination of charming pixelated graphics, retro music and large amounts of movie references. The game itself is essentially a fighting management game in which you are required to balance your training schedule with day-to-day life such as work, eating and trips to the shops, all in the hope that you don't get your face punched in the second you enter the ring. The main overarching story revolves around you and begins by showing you the traumatic murder of your father before your very eyes. This event drives you to follow in your father's footsteps and train to be a fighter in the hope that someday you solve the mystery of who done it. The gameplay is sadly quite minimal. Most of it tends to boil down to clicking and waiting, meaning the experience isn't the most interactive, but this isn't to say that the game doesn't keep you from being completely entranced by it. Every decision you make shapes your fighting technique through the many matches which are likely to take place, as you have to use your time very carefully to keep yourself fed, well rested, but most importantly at the peak of your physical ability. You have three main stats to work with: strength, agility and stamina, but the game is very particular in telling you that going for a well balanced scheme will result in failure. The best technique is to have one major and one minor stat. I chose to go with strength as my primary stat, which ensured that when I do hit it was worth the wait. Unfortunately, it can get quite frustrating in a fight as you watch your character flailing wildly, slowly wasting all of that precious energy, until your opponent tickles you with a feather duster, knocking you to a floor for a huge chunk of your health. But this isn't the only element of choice involved with developing your character. After each fight you gain a certain number of fighting tokens which can be traded in for new stances, techniques, or improved stat training abilities. These should be chosen carefully as you need to get a good balance of damage versus energy usage / preservation. This is something that can take a little while to get used to as you tend not to know how well different hits combine until you actually use them. Obviously it's also necessary to keep your choices in line with the stats that you've chosen to train, otherwise you'll find your attacks near useless and each battle will feel like smashing your face against a brick wall. It's also worth pointing out that the fights which take place require no involvement from you. Your chosen abilities will randomly fire off for the duration of a round and you only get a chance to change your tactics in between each round. Again, these choices will usually need to be made based on balancing your energy usage. There are also a large range of activities and shops to spend your time and money on, such as working for Bobo the friendly mobster, hanging out with Roy and trying to flirt with his sister under his instruction, and buying stat enhancing potions from some guy who hangs around in the sports store. A lot of these are optional but can offer certain benefits for taking part, such as a total recharge on happiness or food, but can potentially cost you a lot of time which could have been spent boosting your statistics to take part in the next fight. As I previously mentioned, arguably the main draw to this game is the incredible artwork, because although it has become almost routine for small-scale indie games to adopt pixel graphics, some just seem to do it better than the rest, and this is one of the best. All of the characters and items are easily distinguishable and utterly dripping in bright colours, making it a fantastically eye-catching piece. And it doesn't just stop there, as the animations, although slightly jerky, really add extra personality to the entire experience. And then to top it all off, the soundtrack is also fantastic, with little spots of well-known fighting movie soundtracks woven into it like a wonderful retro patchwork full of nostalgia. I was generally trying to play this between doing other things, but then found myself actually just playing it for a couple of hours instead, because it's difficult to find a good point to stop as the next activity will only take another minute or two. Add them all up and you'll be going to bed late. So although at times I was frustrated with the way in which the fights played out as I watched my characters stand there taking blow after blow, occasionally swinging at nothing and then having a nice lie down while the enemy prepares for his next barrage of attacks, I found the entire thing very addictive and would highly recommend it to anyone. It does feel like there is a lot of opportunity for improvement with Punch Club, primarily if you could actually have some part in the fights themselves, but it's not exactly expensive and fulfills the basic rule of being fun. I do suspect that I might have missed a lot of the references as I haven't seen either Rocky or Fight Club.